Hi, Porkins. You ask a great question. I just did an example in ACTEX where it created a tree using rpart. They use CP table to find which CP to use after taking into account the one standard deviation rule to get the correct tree to use. They then used prune and entered the desired CP to get a new tree. Since we had to go through the trouble of finding the best CP value and also how many terminal nodes there are, couldn't we just do rpart again but enter the correct CP and max depth arguments? Let's look at a real example from the December 2020 exam. This was, the June 16th, 2020 exam. So if you go down to task 6, where they asked you to fit a decision tree, you'll see that there's the same setup here. So you used rpart to fit a tree, and you specified the rpart CP argument. So this is the complexity parameter that's used in order to decide how complex the tree is. So notice that whatever you set this to be, it will fit trees that are of less complexity, of greater complexity leading up to this value. So like if CP is 0.01, it will also fit trees that have complexity 0.1 and 0.01 and so forth. Right? So this tree is very complicated because there's not a lot of penalization. So if you look here on this table, you'll see that there are a lot of trees, and then the smallest CP value is 0.01. So if you wanted to, you could also just lower this right here, and then you'll see that the most complex tree has that CP value. Now your question is, why don't we just run this once and then find the optimal value and then change it? Right? I can see your point. That would simplify the code. The only problem is that this has to be reproducible. So you don't want to run something and then change it and then rerun it. Once you do a number of practice exams and you start writing the actual report in Microsoft Word, you'll see why this would be a problem. So what you'd have to do is copy and paste all of this code into a new section and then change the value. However, it's rarely a good idea to make changes to the SOA's code without them telling you to. If you join our online course and go through our 9 practice exams and then look at the video solutions, you'll see why. Often you can run into technical difficulties, things that you don't even expect to happen, that will take off points from your exam. You could be completely logical and your reasoning could be justified, but if you don't do exactly what the grader expects, then you will not get credit for what you're doing. So that's where our 134 practice questions will give you hands-on experience. Then you can look at how a grader would answer the question using our video solutions. So in this case, you just use the prune function to select the tree that has the desired CP value. And notice also that the SOA gives you comments here. See, they tell you prune the tree by replacing this with the complexity parameter and create these specific plots and so forth. And you could need this other information for later parts, right? For instance, this calculates the Pearson goodness of fit statistic. So if you just copied and pasted your own code, you wouldn't have this, and you would need to put this into your report.